Damn. My peoples. My peoples. Interesting matchups coming up. We're going to be talking about Dmitry Bivol versus Artur Beterbiev 3. The trilogy is going down. And how or what they have to do to make that happen. And Richardson Hitchins will be defending his IBF title versus George Kambosos. Both of those fights are super interesting for different reasons. And we're going to talk about it, man. Got to talk about it. In a way, Bivol versus Beterbiev 3 is not the best fight to make for Bivol. That's not the fight I personally wanted to see. LLYY, what's the deal, my brother? Bam, first one in the building. Yeah. So, I'm kind of disappointed, as crazy as that may sound, that we're going to get Dmitry Bivol versus Artur Beterbiev 3 before we get Bivol versus the Mexican monster, David Benavidez. That's the fight that I really wanted to see. That fight was actually going to purse bid, and we see it. We see what happens. LOYY. I'm a big Bivol fan, so I think this is my episode. So, I gotta say, man, look. Right now, we're seeing His Excellency Turkey Al Sheikh's his reach, his influence, the influence that he can have on a fighter's decision. And I say this because in order for Dmitry Bivol to fight Artur Beterbiev a third time in a row, he has to vacate his WBC title. As per Ring Magazine, Dmitry Bivol and his team sent a letter to the WBC letting them know that they're going to vacate that title and forego the opportunity to defend versus the Mexican monster, David Benavidez. Miss Bitch in the building. What's up, Miss Bitch? Appreciate you dropping in saying what's up. So what do you guys think about this, man? I really wanted to see Bivol versus Benavidez. I thought that was going to happen. I felt like, he's not going to vacate the title. But that's exactly what happened. And, His Excellency Turkey Al Sheikh had already voiced his opinion. He said that he was not interested in Bivol versus Benavidez, which is crazy to me because that's a great fight. We've already gotten Bivol versus Beterbiev twice. And I'm okay with it happening a third time, but right now Benavidez was the mandatory for that WBC title. I think Bivol should have defended. I know that there's also very strategic maneuvering because if Benavidez is able to beat Bivol for the undisputed crown, then that third fight between Bivol and Beterbiev would not be as significant if it's not even a title shot. If it's, if there's no title up for grabs. LOYY, nah, man. But it's an amazing fight. Nothing bad about it. And it would do so much sales. Answell Bivol versus Artur 3. Jay, do you have PS1 or PS5? Jay, we're not talking about PlayStations over here. We're talking about boxing. So I'm going to just say goodbye, and you can go to a channel where they talking about PlayStations. Peace out to you, brother. Fuck is you talking about PlayStation? Fuck out of here. Miss Bitch got the PS 5000. JJ Zendejas. Hello, Jay Smith. I'm still working back in half an hour. Just want to let you know the man tore a tendon in his shoulder calf. Fight Tim or nobody for a bit. Who tore a tendon, my brother? Miss Bitch, for real, yo. You rolling up in talking about PlayStation. You see a PlayStation conversation going on over here? Read the room, buddy. Read the room. But, me personally, I don't like the fact that His Excellency Turkey Al Sheikh is able to maneuver a fighter to avoid this fight and do what he wants. I get that, you're passionate about boxing and you're now going to be a promoter in the sport. But still, you're getting in the way of a sanctioning body. You're getting in the way of a major belt, the WBC. And you're convincing a fighter to drop a major title just to do a third fight that you want. I don't know about that. JJ's in the house. Bye bye. Get the fuck out of here. That's how we doing them. Show up over here with some goofy questions. You out of here. But first you gotta get cooked, and then you out of here. LLYY J Smith. What's your opinion that more fighters die boxing rather than MMA, even if MMA is so much more aggressive? I mean, the numbers talk for themselves. What's really more aggressive? The fighter where more people die, I would say, is more aggressive. Because you got to remember, bro, a lot of times in MMA, guys spend, most of the round in the match looking for position, trying to get that submission. It's not the same as just punching each other as much as you can. Boxing is the most brutal sport there is. And we see it by how many people die every year. On average, 15 boxers die a year. No combat sport has anything near that. And, I think there's some factors that should be taken into consideration. Maybe some fights needed to be stopped a lot sooner. Some guys are allowed to take too much of a beating before a fight gets stopped. So I think there's some factors, maybe some rules that could be put into place so that a fight could be stopped. Even though, listen, the fact that you're fighting back does not mean that you're good. There are some things that you could look at to say, this guy's not good. Even though he's fighting back, he's being tough. Great, he's tough. But just because you're tough doesn't mean you should be allowed to stay in the ring if you're taking a beating. That's my take. JJ's in the house. Keith Thurman did. Miss Bitch, don't let the door hit you on your way out. Peace. Get out of here. But like I was saying, my peoples, when it comes to, the whole situation with Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev, they had two great fights, and I'm pretty sure the third one is going to be just as great. But we already know what we're going to get with this fight. We don't know the outcome because, it's very competitive. They're both high-level fighters. But I really wanted to see David Benavidez versus Dmitry Bivol. I felt like that was the fight that we should have got. And, the stage was set. The fight was mandated. It was even going to purse bid. That's it. This was going to happen. And all of a sudden, Dmitry Bivol decided to vacate a title, not get that fight with David Benavidez, to get the trilogy with Dmitry Bivol. I don't know, man. I don't like it. I personally, like I said, Bivol versus Beterbiev, we know we're going to get fireworks. We know this is going to be an extremely competitive fight. But, like I said, man, give Benavidez his opportunity. The guy's a mandatory. The fight was mandated. Give the guy his opportunity. I mean, what's going to happen? What if Bivol wins or what if Beterbiev wins? Is the winner going to go fight Benavidez? Because this is what you have to understand. Right now, Benavidez was the mandatory for a title Dmitry Bivol had. Now that title is going to be vacant, which means Benavidez is going to fight somebody else for that vacant title. And now once he has a vacant title, once he wins that title, he will never be mandatory for any champion again. Because now he's a champion in a different sanctioning body. So the stage was set for a great fight between Benavidez and Bivol, and it's not happening. So will we ever get that fight? I don't know. But obviously His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh wasn't interested in it. He specifically pointed that out. And Bivol is now showing loyalty towards His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh by vacating that title and doing what he wanted. We got to see how this plays out. Not really with it, though. I'm personally not with it, my peoples. And, of course, Richardson Hitchins will be defending his title versus George Kambosos. LLYY, Malik Zina versus Bivol rematch. Nah, man. Bivol needs to fight David Benavidez. That was the fight to make. That fight should have happened. And right now I'm looking at, as His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh for the guilty party or the person guilty or responsible for that fight not happening. That's my take right now. LOYY, if Bivol versus Beterbiev 3 happens, I'm 100% sure that Bivol will win. Bivol already learned so much from the rematch. JJ's in the house. Keith Thurman tore his tendon in his shoulder. Not going to fight Tim or nobody for a while. Oh, come on, man. Come on. Keith again is hurt. Keith one time Thurman has turned into Keith sometimes Thurman. That sucks to hear, man. Keith did really good. He looked really good. Sucks to hear that he got hurt. George Gaines, speedy recovery for Keith Thurman. George Gaines, I don't want to see a third fight with Bivol versus Beterbiev because Beterbiev is 40 years old now. Their trilogy should have started 5 years ago. I agree with you. And look, not only for that reason, I think Benavidez versus Bivol is a bigger fight. It's a better fight. It's a fight that we want to see more because we've already seen these two guys go at it twice, back to back. 3 fights with each other back to back. Come on, man. Come on now. Give Benavidez his opportunity. Just Business. What up, my mans? What's the topic of the fighters? My God, what's the deal, Just Business? So we talking about the whole situation with Dmitry Bivol where he's going to drop his WBC title to avoid fighting Benavidez. Instead, he's going to fight Artur Beterbiev. So who's with it, who's not with it? I know that a trilogy is a big deal, but I would have preferred for him to fight, give the Mexican monster his opportunity, rather than vacate a title, which to me is never a good look. You got a mandatory, and it's a big name, it's a big money fight, and you choose to vacate. But I believe that we're seeing His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh's influence, and in this case, I don't like it. Because I remember he specifically said that he was not interested in Benavidez versus Bivol. And look, it looks like he made it happen. And by the way, Richardson Hitchins will be defending his IBF title versus George Kambosos in June. We're going to be talking about that as well. Just Business. You said Benavidez dangerous, though. I mean, Benavidez is a dangerous fighter, but so is Beterbiev. Beterbiev won the first fight. And the second fight, Bivol won it by split decision. So it's not like Beterbiev is an easy fight. They both dangerous opponents. The only difference is we've already seen Bivol and Beterbiev twice. We've already seen it. Great fights, both of them. But come on now, give the Mexican monster his opportunity, bro. Give him a shot. JJ's in the house. Everything boxing. Hell yeah, my God. LLYY. I just saw an interaction between Conor and Ryan. That would be an amazing fight if it happens. Not really, bro. Conor McGregor is an MMA guy. I'm not really interested in seeing Conor McGregor at all. One bit. Maybe in some type of exhibition, but he's not a real boxer, my brother. Boxer versus boxer. Let's not bring in MMA guys that never done shit. They just gonna get beat up against the boxers. Oh, I seen that interaction. Conor Ben, I've seen that interaction with Ryan Garcia, and I spoke about it last week. They could meet up at welterweight. I know that Conor Ben is moving up to fight Chris Eubank. Let's see if he, he's a very small guy, so hopefully he decides to go back down to welterweight. He could meet up with Ryan Garcia. They could dance. Miss Bitch. Okay, Miss Bitch, we'll give Benavidez a chance, but this is the last chance I give the F- to A+. Listen, Miss Bitch. I want to see David Benavidez versus Dmitry Bivol. I think that fight would have been a great fight, and it would have sold. That's a big fight. That's a big deal type of fight. And for whatever reason, man, His Excellency Turki, I guess His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh is trying to get the fights that are negotiating directly with him to fight each other, as opposed to bringing somebody else from the outside to fight with the guys that are over here. That's what it seems like to me, because from the beginning he said he wasn't interested in Benavidez versus Bivol. But why wouldn't you be interested in that fight? That's a big fight. But there you have it. Oka, I think he meant Conor Ben. Yeah, Conor Ben, man. That I seen the interaction between Ryan Garcia and Conor Ben, and I tell you, I would like to see them face off in the future. Hopefully, Conor Ben, after fighting Chris Eubank and knocking him out, he'll move back down to welterweight. LOYY, do you think Mike Tyson is the wisest boxer ever? That's hard to say. Can't answer that question. How wise somebody is It's really hard. He was one of the most athletically gifted heavyweights we ever seen. That's for sure. Um, but what do you guys think about Richardson Hitchins defending versus George Kambosos? I think that's a good fight. Kambosos, he's a pressure fighter. He's gonna throw a lot of punches. Richardson Hitchins has shown some vulnerabilities with fighters who have that type of boxing where, they just let their hands go and come forward, pressure fighters. We got to see how this plays out. We got to see it. This is going to be, we're going to see Richardson Hitchins defend his IBF title, and he's going to be looking to win in beautiful fashion. Kambosos is looking to become champion once again. He gets another title shot. And honestly, I believe Kambosos got a chip on his shoulder. Because after his win versus Teofimo Lopez, he hasn't been able to reach any level of success. He lost to Devin Haney, pretty much got dominated. Lost to Devin Haney twice, pretty much got dominated by Lomachenko. So now that he's back on the win column, got a win recently, I'm sure he's going to be looking to try to get another title for himself. Looking to say, hey, look, it was when I beat Teofimo Lopez, that wasn't a fluke. Let's see. Can George Kambosos become a champion again? We shall find out. We shall find out, my people. Oka, Ben or Eubank? I mean, honestly, I got Conor Ben winning that fight. I know that Chris Eubank, it's a top level fighter. He can fight. He got good footwork. And he's going to have height and reach advantages over Conor Ben. But I've been saying it, man. I just see that energy from Conor Ben, that aggressiveness. And I feel like he's just going to explode on Chris Eubank. Especially after getting slapped with that egg in the face. I feel like Conor Ben has just been showing that type of energy that he's coming to hurt him. He's going to step in there to inflict bodily harm on Chris Eubank. Oka, that aggressiveness was the eggs. I mean, to be honest, look, the situation with the eggs, I thought it was entertaining, but I'm not with it. I don't support it at all. A fighter bringing something in, hitting within his jacket or wherever to slap the opponent with it, in the face off. I don't like that. That's a punk move to me. And, we saw how it played out, but at the end of the day, they're going to face off each other in the ring. And then let's see what's going to happen. Because I feel like Conor Ben is going to be the more aggressive fighter. He's going to be the guy looking to get on the inside and let them hands go. Chris Eubank, I could picture him using a little bit more his footwork, using his height, his reach, trying to keep that jab out there. And Conor Ben is going to find a way to get on the inside and explode. That's how I see that playing out, my people's real talk. But like I was saying, man, when it comes to Kambosos and Richardson Hitchins, I feel like Kambosos is going to be his toughest test. Because Kambosos, he's a seasoned veteran. He's already been there with Devin Haney. He's been in there with Lomachenko. He's been in there with Teofimo Lopez. Kambosos, he's been there with the best of the best. So he's going to bring it to Richardson Hitchins. And he's going into that fight feeling like he can win it. JJ's in there has Benavidez, a very good fighter for boxing that we need. Benavidez versus Bivol, man, that would have been a heck of a fight. I would have loved to see that fight. LOYY, why you're always putting Eubank down? Nah, I'm not putting him down. I think he's a very good fighter, too. I just feel like Conor Ben is going to win that fight, man. I really, and you got to understand, Conor Ben is going to be, let me say it like that, I expect Conor Ben to be the underdog. The guy moving up from a lower division. If you see them face to face, he looks a lot smaller in height, obviously less reach. I feel like the underdog is going to be the one to win this fight. Balls for game. After the Bivol versus Beterbiev trilogy, is Benavidez next in line? I mean, honestly, I don't know. I don't know if they'll ever fight Benavidez. And the reason I say this is because Benavidez was the mandatory right now. That fight, Benavidez versus Bivol, that was actually going to purse bid this week. And Bivol sent a letter to the WBC letting them know that he's going to vacate the title. So he preferred to vacate the title than fight Benavidez next. and go do that trilogy. So if he does that, do I believe he's gonna, if he wins versus Bivol versus Beterbiev, he's gonna go now to fight Benavidez? I don't believe it. I believe that they don't want to fight Benavidez. And by the way, His Excellency Turki Al Sheikh specifically said that he didn't care for Bivol versus Benavidez. I think that fight may not even happen. Oka, what do you think of Crawford suggesting Pac-Man isn't an elite boxer? No. Crawford didn't say he wasn't an elite boxer. He said that he wasn't a Hall of Famer because of the the suspicious of steroid use. At least not elite without steroids. So it's not elite. He said that he wasn't a Hall of Famer because the suspected steroid use. I disagree with Crawford when it comes to that. And I tell you, Crawford is my number one pound for pound fighter in the world. That's my guy. I wish I could have a conversation with him about Pac-Man. I disagree with him. The reason I disagree is because if you look at Manny Pacquiao's record, Crawford said in the interview that as soon as Floyd asked him to, for blood testing, his knockouts went down. But it didn't really go down like that. If you look at Pacquiao's career, he started at the lowest weight division. What is it, like 106 or some shit like that? And Pacquiao, basically, by the time he got to 147, he stopped knocking people out. He was moving up and knocking people out. But when he got to 147, that he started facing those bigger opponents, those stronger opponents, he stopped knocking people out. All you got to do is look at the box rec. And the 147 division, Pac-Man did not knock the majority of his opponents out. So it's a question of how big were his opponents, as opposed to, he stopped doing steroids, or he can't knock them out anymore. As far as being elite, come on now. At 40 years old, he beat Keith Thurman. How much more elite can you get? He beat undefeated champion Keith Thurman at 40 years old. So when it comes to being an elite level fighter, we know what's up with Manny Pacquiao. LOYY, what fight you want to see this year and wish it happens? Well, since it's not a done deal, they haven't signed contracts yet, Canelo versus Crawford. That's the fight that I need to see this year. After that fight, I definitely would love to see Shakur Stevenson versus Tank Davis. Miss Bitch, Marquez humble Pac. Oh my goodness, Marquez sent him to sleep. Made him take a nap. Artur, sup my guys, support. What's the deal, my G? Appreciate you dropping in. And everybody who's in here, man, it's 11 of us. Hit that like button, my peoples. I only got 6. 6 likes? Man, y'all can't be doing me like I'm a C-level fighter out here getting lumped up. Come on, man. LLYY. Nah, come on, Jay. We all know Canelo versus Crawford will happen. I mean, it's not a done deal, though. It's not a done deal. In boxing, you never know until those contracts are signed. A lot of different things can happen. There's a lot of fights that we thought was going to happen and they didn't happen. So we have to see how that plays out. We have to see them contracts get signed. We have to see them start, officially announce the fight. JJ's in there has Pac-Man is a Hall of Famer. Hands down. People can't bring their power up with them. I agree with you. But that's what I see, that Pacquiao, and if you look at all the fighters, all the great fighters who moved up, 4 or 5 weight classes, in the first 2, 3 weight classes that they fought, and they was knocking people out, and then eventually they got to a point where they fighting bigger opponents, stronger, and they just couldn't stop them anymore. It was a wrap. Now they had to outbox them. Boss for game. If Ryan fought Devin again, who wins the rematch? I think Ryan Garcia may have his number, bro. I think Ryan Garcia may actually have his number. So if they fight again, and that may happen at the end of this year, I got Ryan Garcia winning that fight. John Parham, salute my brother. LLYY. I don't want Devin versus Ryan rematch. Ryan will be acting crazy again. I care more about his mental health. I mean, we gotta see. We don't know how he's gonna be acting. Right now, we see him. He's gonna fight Rollies, and he's perfectly normal. He went through. I would say he went through an episode. He even said that he was drinking and everything during training camp for Devin Haney. And I don't think we're going to see the same Ryan Garcia should they do a rematch. Hopefully not. Hopefully he's good with his mental health. R30. Pac-Man going up 46 pounds is crazy work and needless. JJ's in the house. Hello, John. Welcome. And look, that's what I'm saying about Manny Pacquiao. That if you really look at his career, the moment he got to welterweight division, the knockouts slowed down by a landslide. That's it. He wasn't knocking people out no more because of what I just said. He's a very small guy who's having success in that division, but still he couldn't knock people out no more. He had to take them the distance and outbox them. Went on points. JJ said that Garcia has his number and address. I feel like it. I feel like Ryan Garcia has Devin Haney's number. And you got to understand, too, man, like, that beating that he gave Devin Haney, it looks like it really, really had an effect on Haney and his pops. And I'm talking about psychologically. Because look how long ago that was. And they still be talking about it. Anytime somebody mention Ryan Garcia's name, they bring up the steroids. And they bring up that Ryan beat him on steroids. Like, nobody's even talking about the fight. But it's like that's constantly playing in their head, and they constantly want to talk about it. They haven't been able to move past it. So, let's see, man. If they both win on May 2nd, because, Rolly has a tough test. I've been telling everybody. Jose Ramirez is a tough test. He got a chip on his shoulder. He's coming off of a loss. He needs to win. It's going to be a tough challenge for Devin Haney. But if they both win, I believe that the next fight for both of them is going to be each other. It's going to be that way. LLYY. Tank gave Ryan a fake number. John Parham. LLYY. You stupid. Come on. Why you... Boxing. LLYY. Come on. Let's stick to boxing, man. You're talking about phone numbers and shit. But what do you guys think, man, about Richardson Hitchins defending versus George Kambosos? Does Kambosos stand a chance? Can he become a world champion once again? He's trying real hard, man. He wants to prove that his win versus Teofimo Lopez was not a fluke. Can he make it happen? Can he become a champion once again? We're about to find out. We're about to find out. And then this whole situation with Dmitry Bivol and his Excellency Turkey Al-Sheikh, it looks to me like Bivol is being, faithful or loyal to His Excellency Turkey Al-Sheikh. And right now, I don't like it. And the reason I don't like it is because we could have got a better fight with him defending his title and defending his undisputed crown versus David Benavidez than dropping a title and now defending the other three in a trilogy versus Artur Beterbiev. We already got these fights. We already got them twice. Okay, we could get it a third time, but he could have fought Benavidez first and then fought with Beterbiev. That's at least my take. Oka, there is a 25-pound difference between light, heavyweight, and cruiserweight. Does boxing need another weight class? Light, cruiserweight, or super light heavyweight? I mean, they had that Bridger. What happened with that Bridger weight class or whatever? But nah, I don't think so. Once you get that big, that's it. Because if you think about it, if you're a heavyweight, there could be a 40-pound difference between the fighters. So I think that's it. Once you went above cruiserweight, do your thing. That's it. It's all out production when it comes to the weight. JJ's in there. Garcia lives rent-free in Haney's head. It looks like it, bro. Because they seem to... Anytime Ryan Garcia's name come up, it feels like Bill and Devin Haney are triggered. And like they need to bring up the steroids. No, he beat me, but it was because of the steroids. Like, yo, we already know what happened. You don't need to keep bringing it up. It's already been, a year? And they still bringing it up. JJ's in the house. R30. Where's that Kambosos located? Where's Kambosos located? I mean, he's from Australia. But the Ring magazine reported that Kambosos versus Hitchins is going down in New York. I don't know if it's going to be in Madison Square Garden or if it's going to be in New Jersey. Actually, New Jersey is not New York, so it's probably going down at the Garden. Or it can happen in Brooklyn, too. Can happen in Brooklyn. But it's definitely happening in the U.S. And it should, because Richardson Hitchins is the champion. He's going to be the guy defending his title. So that's the way that it should go down. If I had to make a prediction right now, I would say that Richardson Hitchins is going to win that fight. Kambosos is going to make it a dog fight. He's going to make it competitive. He's going to be out there applying that pressure. But, you know, Richardson Hitchins, he's going to have the height and reach advantages. He's going to keep that stick out there. He's going to, you know, the counter punching is marvelous. And he's going to do his thing. I believe Richardson Hitchins wins that fight. Boss for game. What is a good decision on Bivol part to vacate the belt so he wouldn't fight Benavidez? Because it's a big risk and the trilogy wouldn't have the same spark. I mean, of course the trilogy wouldn't have the same spark. But at the end of the day, we don't even need the trilogy. We don't need it. I mean, if they want to go for it, that's great. But we don't need the trilogy. Like, if I was to ask you, what fight is more important, right? Think about that. What is more important? Dmitry Bivol defending his undisputed crown versus the Mexican monster, or Dmitry Bivol fighting for 3 belts versus Beterbiev, who we've already seen him fight 2 times against. I would say defending the undisputed crown versus Benavidez is a bigger fight. But the way that I took it is that Benavidez doesn't do business directly with His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh. So His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh, from the beginning, he shot it down. He said, I'm not interested in Bivol versus Benavidez. I want the trilogy. And look, he gets what he wants. I don't like that. There's already little things that I'm seeing from Turkey that I'm not liking. He's put some great cards together, put some good fights together. He's doing a lot of good things. But the things that I'm not liking, I'm also remembering them. Like, you're influencing a fighter to vacate his belt so that he can make the fight that you want. I don't like that, my people. Miss Bitch, Bill Haney, my spirit animal. Oka, I think the trilogy is more important. Benavidez is young enough to wait another 6 months. John Parham, Miss Bitch, here you go. Love more Hinduism. Salute, salute, my brother. So I understand your point about the trilogy, but here's the difference. You got to understand this, my brother. Right now, David Benavidez is the mandatory for Dmitry Bivol, right? But now that that title is going to be vacant, David Benavidez is going to fight somebody else for that title. Let's say he wins it, right? Now he got the WBC title, but guess what? As a champion, he'll never be mandatory again for Bivol. So if Bivol wins the trilogy and now he has 3 titles, there's nothing to tell us that he's going to fight Benavidez. He doesn't have to. That's the difference. He would have fought Benavidez to defend his title, but it would have been for the undisputed crown. Now that he vacated the strap, he doesn't have to fight Benavidez. So will he actually fight him in 6 months? I don't think so. The fact that he's vacating suggests that he's not trying to make that fight. His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh already said that he's not interested in that fight. JJ's in the house. Benavidez is having boxing politics problems with Turkey. That's what it looks like. You know, and with this new league that His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh and Dana White are coming up with, this TKO, whatever it is, let's see how it's going to play out. We got to see how it's going to play out, because how is the trilogy going to take place? Is it going to be for the 3 titles, or are they actually going to also fight for that Turkey belt? Oka, His Excellency is going to make boxing promoters void. Boxing will soon turn into a UFC-style model. Boxing fans will benefit more. I think you jump in way ahead of the gun, my brother, on that one. And I'm going to tell you what's the problem, Oka, that I see right now. And it's funny because I've been saying it for a couple of weeks, and Oscar De La Hoya touched on that. I want you to think about this. That TKO promotional company is going to have one belt. They have their own belt, right? We're calling it the Turkey belt. Now, you got to understand, my brother, the major titles, the WBC, the WBO, the WBA, the IBF, those are the major titles. There's a lot of history behind those titles. And I'll focus on the WBC. Everybody wants that green belt, my brother. If you look at Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, Sugar Ray, Duran, Oscar De La Hoya, Evander Holyfield, Tito Trinidad, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, George Foreman, Joe Frazier. If you look at all-time greats, they've all held that green belt. Everybody wants that green belt, my brother. So how many fighters are going to forego the opportunity to fight for these titles that have such rich history behind them so they can fight for a Turkey belt and less money? So I don't think, there's going to be a segment of boxing that'll shift over to that promotional company. But I think that TKO promotion is going to mostly have either up-and-coming fighters, prospects, and they'll also bring fighters who are washed up, fighters who are gatekeepers that are not getting as many fights, so they sign to go with them. But my brother, I don't see no stars signing with that promotional company to fight for a belt that is going to be meaningless for a very long time. That Turkey belt means shit, and it's not going to mean anything for a long time. So these fighters that are trying to make history, that are trying to be the guy, that are trying to be seen, as the best of their era and trying to enter that old-time, type of rankings, like Terrence Crawford, like Canelo Alvarez. These fighters ain't gonna go fight for that Turkey belt, bro. They not. So it's gonna be a very long time before that promotional company kicks off, like gets going hard. Because you know what they're gonna have to do? They're gonna have to wait for fighters who already have a name to finish out their contracts, whether it's with Golden Boy, whether it's with Matchroom, or PBC, and when they finish out their contracts, Queensbury, they're going to try to snatch them up and bring them over there. But if you're already making more money over there, there's zero possibility that you're going to want to sign with them. So, I don't know, my brother. I don't know. Honestly, I think that fans will not benefit more from Turkey and Dana White's new promotional company because they just not going to be able to sign the best fighters for a long time. It's going to be a long time before we see star fighters go over there. It's going to be a long time, brother. Boss for game. You think Bivol is after the money also? I don't think it's necessarily about the money because against David Benavidez, he could have made more money than versus Beterbiev. I honestly believe that. I think Bivol is being loyal to His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh. And being loyal means, by what I've seen, after you fight, you sign your gloves away and you give it to him. I know he didn't want to do that shit. Nobody could tell me he wanted to do that shit. But it seems like people got to be, like, kissing His Excellency's ass, bro. JJ's in the house. I think this new Turkey League is trying to sabotage real boxing. Turkey belt would never be better than the green belt in my lifetime. No way. Too much damn history. Listen, in our lifetime, that Turkey belt is not going to reach that status. In our lifetime. Because again, history is too much. The history is rich behind these belts. Everybody who's somebody fought for those belts. So when you bring in, and this is the thing that you got to keep in mind, my people, and why that league is going to struggle at first. I want you to think about this. UFC, right? Fighters that sign to UFC, they got a lot of restrictions. They can't go fight nowhere else. And they can't even, when they get in the ring, they can't even promote their own shit. They got to wear shit from the UFC. It's not like boxing. In boxing, when you're gonna fight, a company could pay you a nice amount of money to put their logo on your shorts. Another company could pay you to put another logo on the other side of the shorts. A third company could pay you to put something in the back of your shorts. So fighters, if you're popular, you can make extra amount of money with those endorsement deals. You see fighters go in there and have 4 or 5 logos in their shorts, and everybody's paying, and even logos in their sneakers. Who's paying to get that on there? Well, guess what? In UFC, fighters can't do that. They gotta wear UFC related brands. So that promotional company, I bet you, is gonna do the same shit. Fighters gonna have to wear specific stuff on their shorts, and they won't be able to just promote whatever they want. So UFC fighters are already not happy with the money that they make. They're not. They complain all the time about how Dana underpays them. So this boxing league is going to turn into the same thing. Now, I'm not saying that it cannot be entertaining or that it won't be entertaining to fight, but something else that De La Hoya touched on. Dana White said that they're just going to be fighting each other. Everybody going to be fighting everybody. But you got to think about it. They don't even have no fighters right now. Right now, they have 0 fighters. So when they sign people, they're going to have to match them up right away to fight each other because you don't got nobody. You don't got nobody. Which means that you're going to see young guys, who just turned pro, who could have maybe been projected to get far, who are not even going to go through a development process before they're already facing each other at 5-0 and 6-1, already fighting each other. That's not a good way to develop somebody. That's a good way to blow somebody up to where they washed up by the time they're 26 years old. R30, smooth as you drinking, oh my God. Strawberry. Get my strawberry, my peoples. JJ's in the house. You can't erase all that history too much. That's what I'm saying, man. Fighters who are established, people who have a name, people who have won titles, they're not going to go fight for that turkey belt. They not. That's what I'm saying. Up-and-coming fighters, prospects, who are not making money anyways, okay, let me go over here to this turkey league and make some money. But what I see happening is fighters go over there, sign their contract, maybe establish themselves, make a name for themselves, and get the hell out of there. Why? Because eventually they want to fight for that WBC strap. They want to fight for that IBF. They want to fight for the WBA or the WBO. And what I believe is when you're fighting in that turkey league, you're only going to be fighting within that league and for that one title. You're not going to be able to go here and fight for these titles. Maybe you won't even be ranked over there for those titles. JJ's in there. That's why Stitch got fired from the UFC. Fucking joke. I'm trying to tell you. The UFC, they run the operation like a monopoly. They don't allow fighters to make more money outside of the UFC. So they don't get paid a lot and they can't make extra money with advertisements and shit like that. So I don't know, my peoples. I just think that they're going to struggle. That TKO promotional company, I see them struggling. Maybe they can make it work, make it fun to watch, make it exciting. But on a historical scale, I think they're going to be a very, very small bleep in the radar for a long time. It's going to take some time before they can actually get to a point where they have multiple world champions. They got some big stars in there that people really want to watch. They're holding, big events with a couple of title fights and people like really trying to tune in. There's going to be some time before they get to that level. There's going to be some time. R30, good point. Unless they can bring over-the-top quality fighters, it's going to be a slow process for Dana White. It is. It is. It's going to take a while because they're going to have guys fighting each other that you never heard of guys fighting each other with this guy got 5 losses, this guy got 7 losses, and you never heard of either one of them. So it could turn into a great action-packed type of fight. But who's really looking forward to it? Who's really like, yo, I want to see these two guys that I never heard of pound each other out? Angry Mexican. Turkey and Bivol are dropping the belt to not fight Benavidez and fight Trilogy with Beterbiev. That's exactly what they're doing. But I'm not with it. That Trilogy, I'm cool with it. But no way that I think that the Trilogy is more important or better than Dmitry Bivol defending versus David Benavidez. He will be defending as the undisputed champion versus the Mexican Monster. Instead, he vacated his WBC title, and now he's going to defend versus Bivol for that Trilogy. I'm not with it. I'm personally not with it. I don't have, and I got to say, I don't have a problem with it. I know Bivol versus Beterbiev 3 is going to be a great fight. It's going to be exciting just like the first two. But come on, man. Come on, man. It's going to be for 3 belts. You could have defended as an undisputed champion versus David Benavidez. And I don't feel like they're going to fight Benavidez now because, remember, Benavidez was Bivol's mandatory. That fight was going to purse bid. It was headed for purse bid. And they decided to, Bivol sent a letter to the WBC letting them know that he's going to vacate. So now Benavidez will fight somebody else for a vacant title, become a champion, and that's it. He'll never be Bivol's mandatory. That's it. They're going to be champion in separate sanctioning bodies. He'll never be mandatory again. So if Bivol didn't fight him as his mandatory, why is he going to fight him when he doesn't have to now? Angry Mexican. When is the last time we got Trilogy fight 3 in a row? I can't remember, to be honest. The last time that we got 2 guys fighting 3 times in a row, back to back to back, I can't remember. Can't remember. Damons, which you prefer, Muay Thai or kickboxing? My brother, Box Center, it's about boxing, so this isn't about Muay Thai or kickboxing. I love both sports, but I can't really pick. I don't follow them like that. R30. In my opinion, Turkey is making better fights now and don't need the Dana League. That's what I don't even understand. His Excellency Turkey Al-Afshi has made some big fights, some big cards. But I don't understand why would you do a whole new league with a whole new belt, with a Turkey belt that nobody's going to give a damn about, that nobody's going to be able to do the same things that they're doing in boxing now. Why would you do that? It's like they want to do a monopoly similar to what Dana have with the UFC. And I'm telling you, UFC fighters are not happy. They're not happy with the fact that they can't promote, they can't get endorsement deals, they can't fight anywhere. They're restricted 100% to UFC. They don't like that. So now you're gonna try to bring that same format to boxing, and you're going to encounter a lot of people not liking it. A lot of people are not gonna sign with a league that's gonna bring in those type of restrictions when they're already, in boxing, especially. And I'm referring to the guys who already made a name for themselves, the guys who are already making big money. You're not gonna sign to this league for this Turkey belt that don't mean nothing to nobody to make less money. That's why I see that league being for the people who are, up and coming, young prospects. You're not making any money anyways. Go over there to try to make a name for yourself. Okay. But I don't see no stars signing over there anytime soon. I don't see it. Unless, it gets to a point where guys are finishing off their contracts with other companies and they give them a nice amount of money to go sign with them to try to promote their league. R30. I think this is more Dana making a move to get his foot into boxing. I mean, he's been trying. There was a boxing league that Dana White was going to be a part of a few years back, and it just never kicked off. I don't know what happened. That fell through. So Dana's been trying to get involved in boxing. He's finally got in. but I don't like the way that they did it. I think they should have just did their own promotional company and started signing fighters, and that's it. Get into action with everybody else. But when you say we're gonna make our own league, and we're gonna have our own championship, our own everything, you're trying to make a monopoly, and it's gonna be tough. They're gonna have a tough few years ahead of them before they can actually make a splash. Love More Hinduism. How you think Tszyu looked Saturday? Look, man, Tim Tszyu looked real good. He looked real good. But we have to understand that he fought a guy who appeared to even be smaller than him. Someone who most of us never even heard of. Hasn't been on the big stage. Doesn't have that type of experience. So Tim Tszyu did exactly what he was supposed to do. And versus that opponent. Now, can Tszyu get a rematch with Sebastian Fundora, who won recently? I'd like to see the rematch. I've been telling people. There's some folks who told me, nah, Tim Tszyu should get a couple more tune-ups. I don't think so. I think he could rematch Sebastian Fundora next. And they both won recently, so the timing is great for that type of fight. Angry Mexican. Dana White has that Fight Pass platform, which he has Roy Jones fight on, but didn't do well ratings-wise. I'm telling you, it's about... Because it's not just a platform. It's who are you going to match up inside the ring. Dana White already said, because he knows. He said, we're going to have a lot of guys who have a lot of losses on their record, and they're going to be fighting each other. The best are going to be fighting each other. They put emphasis on that. So what are you going to do? You're going to sign guys who have 5 losses, 6 losses, 7 losses. You're going to sign these guys, and you're going to have them face each other. Some of these guys we already know. They're going to be washed. They're going to be gatekeepers. And I believe they will be able to get some prospects in there as well. Roy James, first belt per weight, one belt per weight class. Yup, they have 1 belt per weight class. Angry Mexican, MMA has other companies like PFL, which Francis and Clarissa Shields are with, or they have the company One FC. As long as fighters have other options to make a living, I'm good. Yeah, but with this boxing company, with this boxing promotional company, remember, they have their own league. So it looks like they're only going to be fighting each other. Fighters will not be able to just go and fight, to get ranked in the WBC, the IBF, WBA, WBO. It looks like they won't be able to do that. They're just going to be part of that league. JJ's in there has funny. Dana White talks so much shit about boxing, and this is the second time he's trying to get in. Boxing better, hands down. I mean, you don't see people from boxing trying to get into MMA like that. You don't see boxing promoters like wanting to promote MMA. You got Dana White, the biggest MMA promoter there's ever been, trying to be down with boxing. So, make of that what you will. Mr. Cayo, yo, what's going on? What I missed? What's the deal, Mr. Cayo? Nah, man, we talking about the whole situation with Benavidez being the mandatory for Dmitry Bivol. Well, Bivol is going to vacate his WBC title instead of defending so that he can have a trilogy with Artur Beterbiev. Some people prefer the trilogy. I prefer him defending his undisputed crown versus David Benavidez. That's what I wanted to see. Angry Mexican. That is one thing I love with boxing. Fighters have so many promoters to sign with. It's not just that they got so many promoters, that they got different ways. If you already made a name for yourself, you got ways to make money. For example, when you fight, you put that logo in your shorts. You see the more popular fighters have 4 or 5 logos in their shorts from different companies. Those are endorsement deals. They're getting paid. Each one of those logos is paying to have it there on fight night. Well, guess what? In UFC, you can't do that. In UFC, they have their gear that you got to wear, their logos, and the companies that they work with. And the fighters ain't getting no money off of that. That's UFC money. So UFC is kind of like a monopoly, the way that they handle business. And they're trying to bring that same business model to boxing. Love More Hinduism. You like De La Hoya clap back Thursday? He actually spoke about that. What I said about Turkey, His Excellency Turkey Al Sheikh and Dana White's new league, De La Hoya touched on that, and I agree with what he said. JJ's in there has Bivol putting up his duck blind on Benavidez. I'm telling you, somebody told me that they prefer the trilogy and he could fight Benavidez next. Bro, I believe if he's not going to fight Benavidez as his mandatory, if he preferred to vacate the title and go for the trilogy, is he going to fight Benavidez when he don't have to? Because remember, once you're a champion in that sanctioning body, and I'm a champion in this one, you'll never be my mandatory ever. There's no say, it can't happen. Now it's up to me if I choose to fight you. So if he didn't fight Benavidez as the mandatory, I don't think he's just going to choose to fight him. Simple as that. Mr. Cayo, Benavidez deserves a big shot now. Canelo screwed his opportunity and bad with choosing Munguia and Berlanga. Yo, Benavidez deserves that big fight. Deserves it. Earned it. He's the mandatory. Come on now. The stage was set for Bivol versus Benavidez. That was a heck of a showdown for all the marbles. That's why I say there's little things that His Excellency Turkey Al Sheikh is doing that I don't like. As soon as this fight came up, His Excellency panned it. Oh, I'm not interested in Bivol versus Benavidez. So it looks like he's influencing who Bivol fights next, and I don't like that. I don't like that. Arch 30, Fundora constantly moving forward will make Sue fight no warm-up. I mean, like I said, man, I'd like to see Fundora versus Zhu because if you watch that first fight, it's not like Tim Zhu got washed. Those few rounds before he got cut, they were pretty even. And even this guy, we already know Sue is a dog. He a monster. He a warrior. This guy was bleeding all over his eyes for like 8 rounds and still kept fighting on. Come on. JJ's in there. Lots of fighters sometimes make more money on endorsements. They make that money with endorsement deals. UFC fighters can't do that. Roy Jane, winner guess David B. Let's see, because it looks like they don't want to fight Benavidez. It looks like because Benavidez is not dealing directly with His Excellency Turkey Al Sheikh, he's not interested in working with him. At least that's what it looks like to me. Mr. Cayo, Al Sheikh, a funny guy. I don't know, man. I don't like the fact that he's influencing fighters to do what he wants. I don't like that at all. Love more Hinduism. He trying to protect Bivol. Mr. Cayo, are we really getting the fight we want to see? I mean, we're getting some of the fights. And like I said, look, Dmitry Bivol versus Artur Beterbiev, the first fight was great. The second fight was great. And I believe the trilogy is going to be that same thing as well. But, damn, yo, David Benavidez deserved that title shot, man. We got to admit to that. Benavidez deserved that title shot. And for them to vacate the title, you're no longer going to be undisputed just to avoid fighting this guy? Come on, bro. Come on, fight him for the undisputed crown. Win, lose, or draw, fight him for all the marbles. That's a bigger fight than now fighting Beterbiev for 3 belts. Well, I don't know if the Turkey belt is going to be in play. I don't know if he's going to end up vacating all titles. And they'll make the debut for the Turkey League. Maybe. You never know. Mr. Cayo, and Turkey didn't want Canelo to post up with that WBC belt. In your opinion, so you think Al Sheikh has an issue with the WBC? It looks like it. And already Sulaiman spoke up against them, said what he had to say. So it looks like His Excellency Turkey Al Sheikh does have an issue with that sanctioning body. And I felt like that was even disrespectful for him not to want Canelo to pose with his title. Like, we got to think about it, man. The WBC, that green belt, is the most sought after in the history of boxing. Everybody, every great fighter that we know got that belt, fought for that title. Whether it's Floyd Mayweather, Oscar De La Hoya, Julio Cesar Chavez, Tito Trinidad, Sugar Ray Leonard, Ali, Duran, George Foreman. Come on, my peoples. That green belt has history behind it. Like that turkey belt is never going to have in our lifetime. In our lifetime. That TKO league is not going to amass the type of history that there is behind that green belt. Mr. Cayo, most praised belt in boxing. Sweepy and so on. Yo, that green belt, everybody wants to get the, not everybody, but the fighters who are shooting for greatness, who are trying to be the best, the greatest of their era, or the greatest of all time, or in the all-time greats, you know they got that green belt. There's no getting around it. You got to get that green belt. So His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh picked the wrong belt to have an issue with. And look, you know, I feel like His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh was a factor in Dmitry Bivol vacating that WBC belt. Mr. Cayo, he needs to leave the belts be. Trying to make his own way in boxing ain't doing the sport any better. I mean, you know, I felt like when I first heard that Dana White and His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh was going to enter boxing, I thought that there was just going to be another promotional company that was going to get in the mix. And I'm like, this is good for boxing. This is going to, you know, have another option for the fighters. But once I started to understand that they're coming up with their own league and their own belt, it makes me hesitant. I want to give them an opportunity. I want to see what they're talking about. But still, it's like, when you really think about the logistics of it, they're not going to have a star fighter anytime soon in that league. Because star fighters, they want to make history. And you're not making no goddamn history with a turkey belt. You want to get that WBC joint. You want to get that IBF. You want to get the WBO. You want to get the WBA. That's what you want to get. So anytime soon, I don't see something big happening for that league. Roy James, does Bivol make more money fighting the trilogy? I don't think so. I don't think he makes more money fighting the trilogy than fighting David Benavidez. You gotta remember, Artur Beterbiev, great fighter, could never knock him. One of the greats of this era, hands down. He's 40 years old, man. By the time they do the trilogy, he's gonna be 41 years old. Come on now. He clearly at the tail end of his career. Come on now. Love more Hinduism. Not that turkey shit. Nobody care about that turkey belt. Only thing I want to hear about a turkey is a turkey sandwich with extra cheese. R30. Turkey belt something crappy. Oh man, ain't nobody want to hear that. Ain't nobody want to hear about no turkey belt. I don't know why they decide to do their own league and have it that way. To me, I think they're trying to do a monopoly where, you know, they keep all the money internal. I think that could blow up in their face or take a very, very long time before it actually kicks off. Mr. Cayo, nah, it's going to wash out. We know who's the best light heavyweight boxer today. But Benavidez needs his shot for undisputed like he should have got it at 168. That's what I'm talking about, my brother. That's what I'm talking about. Give David Benavidez his opportunity. This guy's been fighting. He's been winning. He's been beating everyone who you put in front of him. And the right people that should fight him don't fight him. Come on, man. Mr. Kyle, definitely no trilogy. Roy James, control. It is about control. But you're only going to be able to control the C-level fighters that come over to your league. The gatekeepers. The journeymen who got 5, 6, 7 losses. You're going to control them. But the stars of boxing are not going to sign up to fight for a trinket. To fight for a turkey belt. Nah. You're not going to get any of them at all. R30, I think they have the right idea with the concept the best fighter fight the best, but the concept will take a long time. It's not just that it will take a long time, bro. That concept sounds good on paper. But when you really think about it, and Oscar De La Hoya broke it down, fight the best, that's something that you need at a certain level, right? But in the beginning of people's career, the best don't need to fight each other. If you bring in two prospects that are 5-0, they don't need to fight each other. You're going to be handing out L's to guys super early in their career because they got to fight the best. And that's also a recipe to have a guy be washed up by the time he's 28 years old because he's been fighting the best and taking beatings. So when you say fight the best, you're not really leaving room for development. You're just trying to make these exciting fights. There's a process behind that. Miss Bitch is so proud that Lamar Roach went toe-to-toe with cloud chasing, bootleg Abdul Wahid, and came out knowing he won. They grow up so fast. Gotta tell you something, Miss Bitch. They're already saying that rematch is going down. By the way, it's going down on my birthday, June 21st. That last day of Gemini, J. Smith, my birthday. And on my birthday, Lamar Roach is going to put all type of hands on Abdul Wahid. Check it. Apparently, Jermell Charlo, I think it's Jermell Charlo going to be fighting on the undercard. Jermell Charlo and maybe, I don't know who else. What's this kid, man? Oh, Caleb Plant may also be on the undercard. JJ's in their house. Every country knows about the green belt. I'm trying to tell you, my brother, that green belt is special. And you're not going to have no established fighters turn their back on the green belt so they could get that turkey belt. Like I said, man, when we talking about turkey, talk to me about a turkey and ham and cheese sandwich. I don't want to hear no turkey belt. Miss Bitch, WBC has all the country flags. It's the most iconic one. I'm trying to tell y'all, my people. You're going to make a fighter vacate the WBC belt? Come on, man. Come on, man. And the thing is that His Excellency does have a problem with the WBC. Maybe he don't like the way they move. Maybe he don't like something about them. But y'all got to remember, and somebody mentioned it over here earlier, that Turkey didn't want Canelo to hold the WBC belt while he was taking a picture with them. Which that was corny as hell. Mr. Cayo, Turkey trying to make his own history. That history's not going to kick off on a good note. How you going to make history with a bunch of fighters with losing records? A bunch of unknowns. A bunch of prospects. I'm telling you, what they're doing and the way they're doing it, it's like a startup company. It's this little startup company that is going to take years to develop into the actual idea. Because again, when you bring in a bunch of guys with a bunch of losses and a bunch of prospects, you don't really have a product that the people are looking for. You don't really have, none of the names that we want to see, none of the people that are the main topic of conversation in boxing are going to be over there. So what are you really going to have? What's going to be the interest level? I could imagine, when they do their first card, and look, I'm telling you ahead of time so you can see I'm Jay Stradamus. I'm the human algorithm. Remember that I told you this. When they do that first card, they're going to get absolutely panned, shellacked. It's going to be a shellacking. Because people are going to be like, yo, whoa, who the hell was that? Who the hell is this? You got all these guys who are losing records. Like, there could be fights that are fun to watch, but they're going to be meaningless. It's going to be meaningless. You got these two random dudes fighting each other. So it's going to take a lot of time before they could turn it into a product that people are actually interested in. Mr. Cayo, PBC over Turkey. I mean, the PBC has their own situation that they're dealing with, Hopefully now that Bob Arum seems to be going to Amazon Prime, they're gonna, they're gonna do better business, because it was not looking good for PBC. They didn't have that many cards. A lot of fighters on there are inactive. A lot of fighters have left the PBC because they can't get an opponent. So hopefully the PBC they get their shit going. My peoples, I'm about to end this live. As always, before I do, I want to give a shout out, Miss Bitch, John Parro, Mr. Kyle, JJ Zendejas, R30. Yo, my peoples, I really appreciate y'all coming through, showing me some love, hanging out with me for a few minutes. Y'all already know what it is. I know that today in the morning I did not go live, but tomorrow I will. You're going to be going live because, all this going back and forth about that damn turkey belt. We didn't get to talk about the fights this weekend. I really want to talk about what we got to see with some great action. If you didn't see me calling those fights, the videos are up. Y'all know I call them fights like nobody else. You ain't never going to see color commentary like this. You ain't never going to see blow-by-blow reaction like this. So if you didn't see me calling the fights, my people, I suggest you check that shit out. Y'all already know what it is, my peoples. I'm Jay Smith. This is Box Center, your favorite boxer's favorite boxing show. I'll see you tomorrow, my peoples. One love. Peace. Let me go eat, son. I'm out of here.